Top 10 Upcoming Movies of 2021. A film, often known as a movie, motion picture, or moving picture, is a work of visual art that uses moving images to replicate experiences such as ideas, tales, perceptions, feelings, beauty, or ambience. Sound and, on rare occasions, other sensory stimulations accompany these visuals. The term cinema, short for cinematography, is frequently used to refer to filmmaking in the film industry, as well as the art form that results from them. In this video we are counting down our picks for the top 10 best action movies of 2021 so far. Before we move to the video, please subscribe my YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you can be updated by my new videos. So let's begin the countdown. Number 10. No Time to Die. No Time to Die is an espionage film released in 2021 by Eon Productions. It is the 25th installment in the James Bond franchise. Daniel Craig plays James Bond for the fifth and final time in the film. In this film, Bond is enlisted by the CIA to save a kidnapped scientist, which leads to a confrontation with a formidable foe. Madeleine Swann is a young girl who witnesses her mother's death by Lucifer Sofin in an unsuccessful effort to assassinate her father. Bond blames Swann for what happened in Italy, believing she betrayed him, and the arc is repeated 5 years after the prologue, with James off the grid. Bond returns to the fold after the deadly theft of a weaponized virus that can target a specific person's DNA, though he's initially aligned with the CIA through Felix Leiter, a wonderfully laid-back Jeffrey Wright, and a new face named Logan Ash. The release date for the film is the 8th of October 2021. Number 9. Dune. Denis Villeneuve's Dune, also known as Dune, Part 1, is a 2021 American epic science fiction film directed by Denis Villeneuve and written by John Spaihts, Villeneuve, and Eric Roth. It's the first installment in a proposed two-part adaptation of Frank Herbert's 1965 novel. Denis Villeneuve's Dune, also known as Dune, Part 1, is a proposed two-part adaptation of Frank Herbert's 1965 novel of the same name. The first installment will focus on the first half of the book, focusing on the planet Arrakis. Throughout, the filmmaker, working with amazing technicians including cinematographer Greg Fraser, editor Joe Walker, and production designer Patrice Vermette, manages to walk the thin line between grandeur and pomposity in between such unabashed thrill-generating sequences as the Gom Jabbar test, the Spice Herder rescue, the Thopter in a storm nailbiter, and various sandworm encounters and attacks. If you're not a Dune person, these listings sound like gibberish, and you will read other reviews complaining about how hard to follow this is. It's not, if you pay attention, and the script does a good job with exposition without making it seem like exposition. Number 8. Free Guy. Shawn Levy directed Free Guy, a 2021 American science fiction action comedy film based on a screenplay by Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn and a narrative by Lieberman. Guy as a non-player character in the video game Free City. He works as a bank teller with his best buddy and the bank's security guard buddy. Guy meets Millie at the stash, a secure location where evidence of her source code is kept. By bringing out the innate charisma of his ensemble, Levy keeps the strongest sections of Free Guy going. Comer is a real breakthrough, charismatically holding together both the action-driven scenes as Molotov Girl and the more character-driven ones as Millie. Reynolds can do this kind of charming action hero in his sleep, but Comer is a real breakthrough, charismatically holding together both the action-driven scenes as Molotov Girl and the more character-driven ones as Millie. Although it's good to see the likable Joe Keery earn his biggest movie role to date, she's undoubtedly the best thing about the film. Unfortunately, in the second half of the film, both give a little too much screen time to an overacting Waititi, who hits the same unfunny beats over and again and ends up feeling more cartoonish than the actual NPCs. Number 7. The Many Saints of Newark. The Many Saints of Newark is a crime drama film directed by Alan Taylor and written by David Chase and Lawrence Connor that was released in 2021. Tony and Giuseppina DeMeo are caught up in a shootout with Harold and his gang, the DeMeos, as well as Johnny and Junior, while Tony stands by and watches. It's a prequel to Chase's HBO criminal drama series The Sopranos, and it takes place in Newark, New Jersey, in the 1960s and 1970s. But it must also stand alone as a gripping story about family, loyalty, and criminality, particularly of the Italian-American gangster sort. Beyond that, this film has another goal: to convey something substantial about racial relations and black criminality in the context of the late 1960s urban violence wave that shook the country, with Newark being one of the hardest hit cities. The film begins with an intriguing crane shot of a cemetery that transitions into a dolly shot. The music features the voices of the dead on a gloomy afternoon. The expansiveness of The Sopranos allowed for more and more authorial detachment and acting complexity as the series progressed, developing in smarts and sophistication even before the first season ended. The audience was given the opportunity to take a step back and truly experience the humanity of the characters, which endured despite the heinous acts they routinely did. Number 6. Venom. Let There Be Carnage. It is a 2021 American superhero film produced by Columbia Pictures in collaboration with Marvel and Tencent Pictures, based on the Marvel Comics character Venom. In 1996, a young Cletus Cassidy stands helpless as his sweetheart, Frances Barrison, is kidnapped from St. Estes' home for unwanted children and placed at the Ravencroft Institute. Mulligan, now a detective, approaches Eddie Brock in the present day to speak with Cassidy, a serial killer who refuses to speak to anyone. In a smart twist, such startlingly loud noises impair Venom and Carnage. However, for some reason, the two symbiotes can roar at each other during fight like kaiju rampaging through Tokyo and it doesn't hurt them. It could be a different pitch, frequency, or something else. In any case, Cletus' reunion with the woman he's loved since childhood, as seen in a flashback, is never as compelling as Eddie's ever-changing bond with Venom. Venom's lone journey to a Halloween rave, where he's the life of the party in what everyone suspects is an extravagant costume, is the film's high point. Number 5. Licorice Pizza. Paul Thomas Anderson's upcoming comedy drama Licorice Pizza is written and directed by him. Ilana Hayam, Cooper Hoffman, Sean Penn, Tom Waits, Bradley Cooper, and Benny Safdie star in the film. It tells the story of a teenage actor and a young woman who fell in love in the San Fernando Valley in the 1970s. The film Licorice Pizza follows Ilana Cain and Gary Valentine as they grow up, run around, and fall in love in the San Fernando Valley in 1973. The film follows the perilous journey of first love. Number 4. The Guilty. Antoine Fuqua directed and produced The Guilty, a 2021 American crime thriller film based on a screenplay by Nick Pizzolatto. In the film, troubled LAPD officer Joe Baylor is working the night shift at a 911 call center. He receives a call from Emily Leighton, who informs him that she has been kidnapped. And Gyllenhaal gives it his all, occupying nearly every shot of the 90-minute film. From the start, he exudes the tone of a shattered man, discovering in Joe an emotional undercurrent of salvation that wasn't properly addressed in the original. There's a feeling that if he can save Emily, everything will be alright. He'll be a great cop, a great father, and a great man. Of course, anyone who puts that much personal baggage on a single case is bound to make critical errors. Number 3. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a 2021 American superhero film starring Shang-Chi, based on Marvel Comics. Xu Wenwu discovers the mythical Ten Rings that confer immortality and almighty powers thousands of years ago. Shang-Chi currently works as a valet with his best friend Katie, who is unaware of his history. They are led to the compound of the Ten Rings, where Wenwu uses the pendants to reveal a mystical map that leads to Ta Lo. They encounter Li's sister, Ying Nan, who tells them about Ta Lo's background. Without giving anything away, the film makes some attempts to address Marvel's previously problematic portrayals of Asian characters, and while the scenes are amusing, they remind me of two things: how impossible it is for these Marvel films to exist in a vacuum, and how much more work needs to be done. It celebrates big and tiny ideas, whether in integrated action scenes, embracing platonic friendships in a high-budget film, or introducing a new thrilling hero who also needs to teach his friend, and the audience, how to correctly say his name. Marvel and Disney are not doing something new with this film. It's a hopeful model for how they can get things back on track. Number 2. The Starling. The Starling is a comedy drama film directed by Theodore Melfi and written by Matt Harris that was released in 2021. The Maynards, a married couple, are grieving after their infant daughter died of SIDS. Jack, Chris O'Dowd, the husband, is in a residential mental hospital, while Lily, Melissa McCarthy, remains at home, dealing with her own feelings alone. A counselor at Jack's hospital suggests Lily contact someone for her own mental health before he returns home, putting Jack's pain ahead of her own. Jack and Lily find themselves back at their old house, facing the world together. Number 1. Malignant. Malignant is a supernatural horror film directed by James Wan and based on an original narrative by Wan, Ingrid Bisu, and Cooper. It was released in 2021. Madison wakes up in a hospital to learn from her sister, Sydney, that her unborn child did not survive the attack. Shaw and Moss discover a photo of Madison as a child in Weaver's house during their inquiry and learn that Weaver specialized in child reconstructive surgery. Sydney doesn't have much of a personality, but that's probably so Madison can later characterize her sister as the kind of blood link she's always yearned for, but took for granted, despite the fact that she's been there in front of me all along. And I guess Kikoa is supposed to be cute so that colleague cop Winnie, Bisu, can uncomfortably swoon over him. We need to find that missing half, he says of Gabriel's half-missing murder weapon, to which she responds, yeah, don't we all? Because these characters don't appear to care about each other beyond setting up the next shock scare, there's no follow-up to that thrown-off phrase.